What's going on, guys? Welcome to Monsters of the Madhouse Chicago Sports Podcast. Thank you so much for watching tonight. So excited to be back on kicking off Labor Day weekend because we're talking about football, nothing but football, as we only got 1 week away for the start of the season. I cannot believe that's here. I can't believe we're talking about we're prepping for the Titans. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that next week,
Yeah.
Brandon. But first off, guys, I'm Matt Cooper, bringing in Brandon Trax Hyatt, the founder of Chicago Sports Podcast. Dude, it's good to see you again, man.
You too, man. Good to see you. Like your new hat. Like the new look.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about that a little because this time of the year, this is when you start grabbing all your gear and you want to get all ready for it. I saw this hat, man, in the team store. I was kind of just scrolling through the Bears team store. As soon as I saw this, I'm like, oh, I gotta get that. And the funny thing was, I don't think there was many left. I think it was like one of the most popular hats that they were selling out. And I'm like, man, it's even cooler when you have it on.
Yeah. Yeah, and it does look cool. Does it have is it the snapback or has it got the thing on the back where you pull it?
Oh, the thing where you pull it. Yeah. So
yeah, thing where you pull it. Yeah.
I like that. Do you like that better too? I feel like it feels better on the head. On my head, because I have a big head. So
Well, under windy conditions, I know back in California when I used to sit in the back of the truck, I wish I had those handy because those hats would blow off, bro.
Yeah, well, these are they're very easy to if it's very windy, yes, but you just got to keep it tight and not too tight at the same time. But that's
remember the old trick was you had to put back to back, so your back had to be up against the window, and then you had to have your head back there. You had to be sitting down, and then you were legal. You're good to go, and you had to be like 8 years old or whatever it was. There was like a certain everybody be like, yeah, you're good. There's always that guy that says you're good or not. So things have changed for sure, man. So,
oh, I know, and the hats have gotten so much better too. I think just the cool look of them, the logo and everything, and
yeah,
they do a good job, man. And that's why I got a new hoodie, got a new shirt. Like I'm all set, man. Like I'm ready for football season. At that time of the year, I always wait like a couple weeks to buy a couple of new things for the start of the season.
Yeah, man, it's special to be able to do that, get a little something. I do have a polo shirt, a Bears polo shirt, because I actually got some what do they call those? The embroidered for the Chicago Sports Podcast. I haven't talked to you yet, but for week 1, I got my credentials for the press box at Soldier Field.
No, you didn't tell me that, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think locker room field. So I'm gonna be So Mongo's getting his ring, and I'm gonna be down there taking pictures, video, all that, and then just kind of at the end of it all, be closing it out, and then head over, just kind of follow the whole crowd because I really don't know. It's probably some of the same, but a little different because I was trying to get the heck out of there when I was at the Hall of Fame game in Canton. It started storming really bad. So I was beating feet to get out of there. I still ended up getting soaked. It was a freaking mess. All head to toe, I was just soaked, bro. And this one guy actually ended up giving me a ride in a golf cart. And I was like, as I seen it zoom past me, I was like, yeah, I'll go ahead and get in there because it was like 1, 2, 3, and it was a 4-seater. And I saw that seat right away. And next thing you know, I saw it just stop. And they're like, get in. And I just jumped in and he got me as far as he could, It didn't get me any drier, but it got me quicker and I didn't have to stay in it as long, So that was cool.
Isn't it funny when because you don't realize it too when it gets like that, when it starts downpouring like that bad. We've all been there before at a football or baseball game. But you get it like that bad, and you start getting soaked. You'll do anything you can just to get out of that. I do it all the time, man. I'm at that point in my life now where if it's downpouring like that, I'm like, I don't want to be out here for this. Even though I'm as diehard as a football fan as I am, I'm just like, the older you
get. If you hear I'm going to a game and there's a chance of rain, bank on it happening because last year when or was it the year before last when we played the Niners and it was just downpouring. I mean, you could see down the steps. It was like cascading and stuff, and it was bad, man. I couldn't even get to my drink or anything. I just had this poncho, man, and all of it was just running down into my sock and my shoe. Like it was bad.
That was the first game of the year, wasn't it? The Trey Lance game. That was the Justin Fields Trey Lance game.
That was the end of
where people are already after the one game for the 49ers, like, I think we picked the wrong quarterback in the draft.
I think things potentially happen. Not saying that he was going to be good, whatever, but I think something like that is definitely like bad timing. Like you know what I'm trying to say? Like he could have done better. Heck, we probably could have did better too. It was like a very interesting game plan to say the least. And I mean, we won. Catch us outside. The Niners outside week 14, 15, something like that in the Bay Area.
No, we definitely played them the right time, the first game of the year, and I don't think it's been a long time since I've seen a game like that too. Where was
no,
that,
it was the year, but it was the year before because last year they had Iowa State, the quarterback from Iowa State. What the Brock Purdy?
Brock Purdy?
Yeah, it was Brock Purdy's year. So it was the year before.
No, that was the year before. Yeah, it was the first game of the year.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was like, I've never seen conditions that bad before in a football. It's been a long time since I've seen conditions that bad in a football game before.
It was crazy, bro. And what's even crazier is looking around, nobody was scurrying to get out of there. Like we were all bearing down and watching the game. Like that's how dedicated Bear fans are. Not saying that other fans aren't that way, but from where I sat and what I saw, we were pretty badass in our own rights, man. You know,
it's amazing what a couple of drinks can do to you when you're in a rainstorm, though, huh?
Airplane bottles, just kind of like doing the old having your buddy like shield you while you're like, you know, there we go, you know.
That's the worst though too, because you're trying to drink your beer and then you just see it downpouring rain and you got to try to like cover it up so it's not like all water while you're trying to drink it.
Yeah, some of it's got to taste like it, and then it can't be like all watered down because then you're like, what am I doing this for?
Then there goes the buzz, man. I'm like, what the hell? Now I got to just sit through a rainstorm drinking rain beer, and that's not tasty.
Rain beer. What are we on here talking about anyways?
I know. Well, thank you guys for watching tonight. You guys could like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, which makes me so happy to say that. Makes me so happy to be back here because it's been a couple of months and love the Chicago sports family. And it's just happy to be back here and happy to talk about football. And we can go to many different directions this season, Brandon, but tonight we're talking about the Bears drafting Rome Odunze. Is it a steal? And you see some of the comparisons out there. You see some of the lists out there already. I mean, this is the time of the year where you're seeing all the lists start popping up, especially for the rookies. And it's very interesting when you think about that because this draft, compared to drafts of all years, of the last like 5 years, this was a very quarterback heavy draft. If you look at the first 10 picks of the draft, I mean, you have multiple quarterbacks being taken. So with the Bears having Odunze fall all the way to 9, I mean, I think the wild card for me is I didn't expect the Falcons to take a quarterback, but you had a very good opportunity of picking a value player of value, whether it was a wide receiver or whether it was an offensive lineman. And it just so happened that Odunze fell to us. And you start watching some of his stuff. And I remember watching him a little bit last year too in Washington. And you saw what type of speed he has. You see the characteristics that he has with all the other wide receivers that were coming out of that draft. Because if you think about it, Brandon, we were all talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. as being that stud receiver that was going to go number 1. And I still think he's going to be a superstar. I don't know if it's going to be this year because he's on the Cardinals. They don't look very good. I don't know who Kyler Murray is. But I eventually do think he's going to be a star. And you look at Odunze, he comes in, he's got weapons and players and key players around that offense, other wide receivers like Moore around him, and Keenan Allen, and then you got Odunze right there. And I think he could very well flourish in this first year with the Bears.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he can. They're saying that he can. He's got all the right mentors and veteran leadership that's already there and good in their own skill set and to help, refine them. And Caleb, the way that he leads and talks to, in that open line of communication, that's really going to help the growth of this kid. He couldn't be in a better situation because if he was the day one starter and that could potentially be what he would have been if things were going the way they were, because Moore, Moore was already there, but I'm saying it's to have 3 is special. To have a potentially even a 4th, and then Colin, on the practice squad, unbelievable, man. I mean, it just so much depth, and it takes pressure off rookies to have to be the guy. Like, you don't want a rookie to have to be the guy. I don't want Caleb to be the guy. I want him exactly. I want him to be exactly what Ryan Poles has been saying. He wants him to rely on the team that's built around him, that Ryan and company has built around him, and then at times show greatness or be great. So not all the time be great, but they went out and drafted him for his greatness and his ability to, play in structure and outside of structure. So they sounds to me like they mostly want him to play inside structure and stay with his, team and play calling and all that. But then when it breaks down, then play outside of structure and then get right back into it. So I love it, man. I think Odunze is in a very, very, very great place. Let me know when you want me to put up that, that graphics for you to,
Yeah, let's get to that 1 second, because I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
You brought up some good points, Brandon. And I think it's important too, when you have a young quarterback, to have that young receiver that comes in with them the same year. I think it's pretty cool that you don't see this very often. The Bears, with the two picks in the first 10 picks of the draft, they get two stud players like Williams, and like Rome coming in together, because you could have those players together for a very long time and they're going to be like one hand in hand with each other. And sometimes you don't necessarily get that, especially in the first part of the draft. I mean, look at just above the draft. You look Malik Neighbors, who I do think is going to be a good player in the NFL, but he's got Daniel Jones thrown to him. And people in New York are questioning to see, is Daniel Jones really the right quarterback? And Marvin Harrison Jr., I still think is going to be a stud. And he's got Kyler Murray thrown to him. I don't know what Kyler Murray is going to be this year. I have no idea what Kyler Murray is going to do this year. He comes.
I don't know if Kyler knows what he's going to do.
I don't think so. And he looked okay last year when he came back. So he's got a full year to rehab, and I just don't know. But what we do have is you got a guy like Rome coming in now with those with the other receivers around him, with like more of a veteran presence, and I think that's just going to help him.
Yeah, exactly. I believe that, and it is really like that. That's pretty much what Chicago is doing, honestly. And as far as like a capologist goes, I think Poles is really like looking into all of this before he makes a decision. Him and his team, not just him, he is really looking at the meat and potatoes, the numbers, the market, all this kind of stuff. The kids coming up through the draft, whatever, all the numbers. You hear him on Hard Knocks, and they're talking about 116, 142, all these different, well, what if this guy falls? They've thought of everything. It's unbelievable how like he's playing chess, man. His whole team is playing chess. And we're just so used to checkers that we're just like, huh? What? I mean, he's really, and his numbers are telling a truth, because you look at the way the quarterbacks are getting paid right now. You look at now, we were just talking off air in the green room about the receiver market, which this is what our discussion is about today. It is unbelievable. You can get a receiver and a quarterback for nearly $100 million. And we, the Bears, are saving a boatload of money. I mean, even to the fact where when we went out and got Keenan Allen to help with the maturation of a guy like Odunze and all of that, and DJ Moore getting a helper and whatever. I mean, those contracts are bargain prices. It's unbelievable. And it's not just that we went out and got, because there's a difference between value and cheap, because we've seen what cheap look like. Remember the Greatest Show on Turf, when we tried to, we didn't have Torrey Holt, we didn't have Isaac Bruce, we didn't have Marshall Faulk, but we took guys like Hester and Knox and says, okay, here we go.
Hester's the number one wide receiver. Oh man, I'm trying to forget about that.
It's not the same, bro. Like,
no.
Okay, we got the size, we got the speed. All right, go do great things. No, sorry.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that. They were like making Devin Hester just that number one, and I'm like, he is not a number one receiver. He could be a number three or four. He's a receiver. He's a returner.
Yeah, that's cheap, not value. What we've got right now is value, bro. And I appreciate it wholehearedly. And it really makes you frustrated because you're like, what is he doing? Just go out and go grab, so-and-so, and it's amazing how in depth these guys are at. I was a little worried at first because when you get a guy that's a director of personnel, player personnel, and up there in ranks in the Kansas City Chiefs, they're used to always winning, going to the playoffs. So you're looking at the back end of the draft. Why would you look at the top of the draft when you're never picking there? So all your scouts, everybody that you got deploying, I'll look at all these other guys because the top 10 players, you'll never get a chance at them. You know what I'm trying to say? So I was worried about that in my own right, in the sense that, like, he doesn't have a lot of reps leading to retention in that. And we obviously have had a lot of reps getting early picks because we've been bad for a good while. So
you brought up a good point there about the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Because how they draft and that's why that's why I have so much trust in Ryan Poles of what he's done so far. I like that. Yeah. I like that what Cliff just brought up there about Kyler Murray, average top 5 fantasy. I would have not known that over the past 5 years.
Yeah, me neither.
And it was funny because I don't watch a lot of Cardinals football, but I do watch him make plays though. He does make plays. The highlights that I see, he did it last year when he came back, that he was making plays. So I don't know what he's going to have this year, but that's an interesting stat that somebody I wouldn't know. Brandon, going into our fantasy draft coming up here, it's something that we can keep in mind.
Yeah. No, I'm excited about that, man. Tomorrow night at 8:00 Central, our time, we're going to have a draft, the Chicago Sports Podcast draft, another one, and I'm excited about it. I'm glad that them boys from 4-Star didn't get in because at least they sound like they play a tough game, and that could be – I'm already having a hard enough time just, trying to get into the playoffs, So I last year I had Patrick Mahomes was my first pick, and I was thinking, well, he's going to run the ball, he's going to pass the ball, going to get some good yards, we're going to go deep. And then he had for fantasy, not for football, but for fantasy, he had legit the worst season. And then so I started playing Fields. Now, Fields was a great guy to have for fantasy. He scored a ton of run yards, touchdowns, and then pass and all that. So he did very well for me, but it was tumultuous throughout the whole year. I would always have the handcuff, but I didn't know who to start, the handcuff or the starter. And I could never, it's always plagued me that way, Coop. Back in the day when I had Najee Davenport and Willis McGahee, I believe it was Willis McGahee, and it was he was on the Steelers or somebody I had, and then Najee Davenport, he would burst it in on the goal line and get 6 points, but my running back would just nickel and dime the whole time, and Davenport would always get more, fantasy points. So there's something to that, Coop. You got to watch out for that,
Yeah, I've been doing my research too, and it's going to be an interesting year too. Kind of looking at the schedules of everybody and all the rookie quarterbacks coming in. So we're excited for that tomorrow for our fantasy football draft. Chicago Sports Podcast. Thank you guys for watching tonight. You can like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Follow us along. Watch some of our past shows here over the past few days. We got a great group of people here. And Brandon, we're talking about the Bears and Rome Odunze and just the receiving depth and core as it is right now, not only with the Bears, but in the NFL, because I think I've never seen contracts like we have seen now with these wide receivers. I always said you want to be a quarterback growing up as a kid because they get the glam, the glory. But look at what these wide receivers are getting paid right now. It blows my mind. Brandon Ayuk was the latest to get paid. That was only 2 days ago. And I like Brandon Ayuk. I think he's a great receiver. He's on the 49ers. For those that don't know, Brandon Ayuk, he was in all the trade rumors, and I heard him because I live with a Pittsburgh Steelers girlfriend, and she was excited, thought they were going to get him. And sure enough, he resigns with the 49ers, and I'm like, wow. Oh man, what was that for? 120 million? Yeah, 4 years, $120 million for Brandon Ayuk.
It was a
Um,
lot, man. Let's pull up that graphic while we're on that.
yeah, it's from Adam
Yeah.
Schefter put out this earlier today.
Special shout out to Adam Shefty, always coming
One
through
of the
with it.
best.
Yeah.
But it's pretty crazy looking at this list, Brandon. And yeah, and I like, and we're gonna get to Jamar Chase in a minute because I think that stuff that's going on with him is interesting right now, where he hasn't even practiced
Bro.
at all. He might not even be playing the first game. So,
Yeah.
but you look at the receiving, like I look at this list that you just put up, Brandon, and I look at these receivers, and a couple of them that stand out to me. I think that the best out of this list, though, um, I like St. Brown a lot from the Lions. I think he's phenomenal. And Justin
Yeah.
Jefferson probably is the best wide receiver in the league. So
Yeah.
4 years for $140 million. I think that's about right. CD Lamb,
Yeah.
I think, is a really good receiver, but $136 million for 4 years. Does that sound about right? I don't know the answer to that.
Bro, I was shocked with the Calvin Ridley because he just kind of is been like, mid. I haven't really seen anything amazing off of him. Devontae, I get it. He's got, bursts of speed, good college player, has done good, kept clean in the Eagles and been a really good, super fast receiver. And they're kind of trying to keep that tandem of speed receivers going there. So, but some of these are really like, I don't know, man. Like we were talking about off the show again. These numbers are crazy, bro. These numbers are crazy, man.
What's interesting about Calvin? Well, heck, we're going to see him first game of the year against when the Titans come to play the Bears. And I think what was happening with the Titans, I think the Titans, who were supposed to do a rebuild, they were really supposed to do a full blown rebuild. It doesn't sound like they've done that. It sounds like they went out and just signed as many players as they could to fill up their roster.
Yeah.
A lot of good players. Listen, there's a lot of good players they signed in the offseason. So
if you could win the free agency, I would say they won it. I've been told in the past that just because you won the free agency doesn't mean you're going to go anywhere, because most of the time when that happens, you end up like the Washington Redskins or the Raiders, and it doesn't, help move the needle. But I think the Titans, like, it looks to me like they're building a pretty good foundation. I don't know if I would have let, the head coach go. I kind of liked him. I liked his spunk. I liked his fire. I like Vrabel, and I think he came from a good culture, a good coach, and all that, and whatever. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time, and you got to have some patience with that. I mean, people, they see their favorite player and they got patience because always a rookie, always a sophomore, always a junior. But when it comes to coaching, it's just like 1-2 years and that's it. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like, geez, oh Pete's, man.
Yeah, there's not a long leash on some of the coaches in the league right now. Although I do like Brian Callahan, who they hired as their coach. He was with the Bengals for a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah. He's a good coach. So that's gonna be interesting to see how Ridley turns out there. But then I look at this, I see Jalen Waddle is another one that stands out to me because he is the number 2 to Tyreek Hill down in Miami. And it's something that you haven't seen before either. You'll see the receivers get paid all this money, but now you see multiple teams with 2 major receivers getting paid like Miami. So they're digging all their money into their offense and more importantly to the wide receivers. And I think you got to be very careful there in the salary cap era, because I do think we've kind of talked about this before in the NFL, in the drafts now. You could go out there and get a receiver like the Bears did at number 9, or you can also find great receivers in the 3rd and 4th rounds. And some of these players that turned out to be really good football players, just ask the Green Bay Packers, and some of the receivers that they've taken over the last couple of years have turned out to be very good football players. And I think you can certainly do that with wide receivers in drafts.
No, I agree with you, man. And the thing about it is I was told that in order to build a good foundation, a good, start from the ground, build a strong foundation, you need a good blindside offensive lineman to protect your quarterback, left-handed, right side, right-handed, left side, a good edge rusher, and a good lockdown defensive back, cornerback. Those are the 3 pieces. Obviously, quarterback, got to have one of those, especially with this, type of, NFL, the way the NFL is now. But those are the positions. Now, what's funny, what you said, you go get that receiver, you get 2 of them. one of those positions that are like the cornerstone building the foundation is going to suffer. And as you could see with us, we still have wiggle room. And next year, I wouldn't be surprised if we got somebody, maybe not, I wouldn't say mid, but above mid, definitely not Sweat's level, if we're going to play it close and play it safe. Same thing with the defensive back. We might already have our defensive backs on lock and don't necessarily have to go out and get a guy to complement, our lockdown defensive back. You see what I'm trying to say? Like, It's really cool and refreshing to know that what we need is what's already here, and we can just add and kind of meld everything together. And it was a quick turnaround, brother. It was a very quick turnaround. I'm very pleased, and I know people get down on it and they want to rush in this fast food society where have it your way, run through the drive-through, have the freaking Uber Eats come drop it off, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, if you don't have it now and you cannot, digest it now and all of that, then why wait? But some things you have to wait on. But to the point of, we didn't really have to wait that long. I mean, throughout the whole duration, guys like, we're going to get ready to bring Ed Buckley on. He wants to come on for a little bit. We won't be on too much longer than right now, but he's been around for a long time.
Ed, yes, he has.
He remembers the 85 Bears. He was born before that, well before that, and all that kind of thing. So for him, and his wait was a lot longer than ours. So I could see where somebody like that, or even the 85 Bears, period, the players, they're very frustrated. They didn't, and so 3 years to them added on to the 40-year wait or 37-year wait is a lot, but if you really look at it in the nuts and bolts of itself, with what Ryan Poles came to do in Ian Cunningham, I think it's like one of the quickest turnarounds, brother, that I've even seen. I mean, going back to like the Cubs, right? Like that took a little bit and everything just kind of hit right. That was different. This right here, and it's a lot bigger roster, right? 53 guys. It takes a lot, bro, to get all that in there,
It's very difficult to do. And I remember we first started doing these shows, Brandon. We're the OGs of Chicago Sports Podcast, man. We started off doing those, dude. We started off doing those shows. BU Cleat was involved, man, where we were talking about the Bears possibly winning like 3 games, and we didn't know what we were getting. Remember when they just hired Matt Eberflus, and we're like, what's going on here? They stripped everything down. And are we going to even win these games? How long is this going to take? But what's not easy about this job is you got to hit on the right players. I mean, I'm a diehard White Sox fan, and I thought we had that about 5 years ago when they were rebuilding, and then they brought Moncada and Luis Robert, all these players up, and you thought they had something when they went to the playoffs, but that was it, and it was over, and the rebuild didn't work. So that's on top of rebuilding a team. You got to put the right players in the right situation in order for it to work, because if it doesn't, then you got to do it again, and we're probably not going to have the same people in those jobs.
But bro, I think you had some of the players, or at least the foundation of the right players. It's not the Sox fault that in some of this it just happens. It's the injuries.
The injuries held up to you.
Bro, you take even the Yankees, you take their starting, however many. It was a lot. You cannot recover from that, man. You can't. I don't care who it is, and it's. I'm telling you right now, you're gonna watch those guys go to other teams, and they already are, and they're gonna do good. They're gonna blossom. Look at over in the Padres. They're in love, and Cease, and I mean, it just unbelievable. The Kopech.
Kopech's been unbelievable for the Dodgers, and so is Eloy Jimenez. Has been good for the Orioles. So yeah, they go somewhere else.
But I mean, it was the injuries and this and that, and sometimes it's just bad timing. And we all know in sports that the injury bug can get any one of us. And it is what it is. So. But that, like I said, that's with anything and anyone. And you could stack your team. You can have depth or whatever. But Coop, you're still going to miss those guys. You're still going to miss them, you know?
Oh, I know. And I think that's what we get excited now about the season coming up for the Bears. I know next week, Brandon, our shows, we'll be talking more about game 1, about the Titans, getting ready for that. So, yeah, make sure you guys follow us, too, on our YouTube page, our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe right there because we're going to have shows all next week about week number 1, talking about the Titans, breaking things down, and getting ready for that. But today we're talking about the Bears. We're talking about Odunze. We're talking about a steal in the draft and what the realistic expectations about Rome Odunze as well. Coming into this season, I think he has an opportunity of putting up some pretty big numbers, depending the type of play between Caleb Williams, depending how the offensive line plays. But you could see that already sparkle in the first few preseason games. Like, oh my God, you got the 2 young players and their combination already clicking a little bit. That's for exciting things to come.
Yeah, you could see it. It's definitely, and like all the things that they're doing together on and off the field and just the camaraderie and stuff. And there's just no really like the tension is healthy when you see things like Sweat getting after it and holding people accountable. And then, you know, circle back and it's like the coaches are like, this is something that I haven't seen in a long time. In this generation, it's the first. So for him at that level where he's at, it reminds me of the stories that I've heard from these legends, like, you know, the 85 Bears, hanging out with a couple of them last night. They tell me the story of, you know, guys that come in and they're just kind of like lazy and they don't really, well, and then to the point where you come in and the team had what the year before, like 3 wins or something silly. Yep. So like they come in first round draft pick or whatever, and Dent came in a little lazy and not really working hard. Sounds crazy, sounds weird. A lot of his hits, a lot of his tackles would be freaking totally, you know, penalties and stuff and whatever. But his effort and enthusiasm and the way he played with passion and fire, that was because Buddy pulled Hampton aside and said, hey, you're going to make this guy accountable. We've got to get something out of him. And they held each other accountable, and they did, you know. Same thing with Hampton meeting Mongo at the airport, all that stuff, man. And I'm very pleased to say that it's good to see this because I haven't seen this in a while. I mean, it might have been there. The last guy that I kind of feel like embodied that type of like, I'm going to hold you accountable that I can recall. And Ed, I'd like Ed to chime in on this. For me, it was Olin Kreutz. There might have been somebody after, but I really just feel like he had that, you know, that mentality and that passion about him, you know. What do you say, Ed?
How you doing, Ed?
Well, good, guys. Good. I was having some technical difficulties trying to get in. I don't have to go through it. Basically, I'm dumb to electronics, but
it's Brandon's fault.
Yeah, it's Brandon's fault. Of course it is. Yep. But I'm here, and I would say, Brandon, Kyle Long, if you want one after Olin.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. But you're right, man. This team looks different than we've seen, maybe ever. I'm real excited about the season. I can't wait to watch these guys play. They're what we've seen, and you know what? I'll tell you something else too. Hard Knocks. I was not happy to find out that we were going to be on Hard Knocks. I thought that would be bad for this team and stuff, but I don't think it was. I don't think it phased them much. It doesn't look like to me. And we learned some stuff, right? I mean, they didn't show a whole lot. They didn't get in too deep, you know what I mean? But we've seen some things we wouldn't have been able to see, and it was really cool to watch, right? I think there's one more show, right? A Hard Knock?
There is,
yeah. 5 episodes. We just
one more.
Episode 4, and I can't stay awake the whole time. I don't know what's going on.
I just woke up.
I'm not saying it's the show, Ed, but it might be because I just cannot stay awake during the dang thing, you know?
Yeah.
So
Do you guys
Yeah.
speak a Hard Knocks question? You know, it's funny because I've enjoyed the Bears Hard Knocks. I think all of the episodes have been very good. You kind of get into the look and see how good our team could be this year. But
Yeah.
I feel like it's not as entertaining because the Giants one was such a mess. You saw how big of a mess the New York Giants are with the draft and them trying to trade Saquon Barkley. Like there was nothing but drama in the Hard Knocks before us that we got to us.
You've been you watch the Giants too? You watch that one?
Yeah,
I
that was
did
the one.
not.
Yeah, that one
Oh.
was all freaking drama. And what they're such a
That was
like
awesome.
what a train wreck they are. And you watch the Giants one, and they come to the Bears, and then you see what like a team like the Bears look like. Like they can be a legit contender, and it's like a little bit more serious. But not, like all of us as Bears fans are so excited, and it's like, man, I can't wait.
Disney.
But
Disney.
but the drama with the Giants is like, man, that was entertaining to watch, and I could care less what the Giants do. That's what I felt.
Well,
like.
and you know what too though, and I have to say this about all, this is what ruined my MTV was all these reality shows, man. Like you follow somebody around except for Ed because we don't really know what he's wearing, what but if you follow you and me around right now with this camera, everything's going to look different. We're going to hit the highs and the lows. We're going to clean and, put on the best, Sunday, whatever. And I feel like that's what they're doing right now to, our organization. After the cameras are off, it's going to be different, So I don't want to sound like, like it. I still enjoy the show. I still enjoy the
Me
show,
too.
but I do know that there's some rose-colored glasses on the show because somebody's following everybody around with the damn camera, So
it isn't just me. Matt Eberflus has had this huge makeover. He looks like a totally different guy compared to when he first got hired on as our coach. Like he's got the good looking beard now, the haircut. I'm like, man, this dude looks like a star.
he might have pushed it in. He might have pushed the envelope for this whole thing. Like, hey, I got the beard going. Let's give it a call. Let's give HBO a call. So
I think it's a good look.
He does look like
it
a
is.
changed man.
Yeah, he sure does, man, for sure. So, so we touched on the receivers, Ed. I mean, what do you think? Let me put this this illustration back up. Look at these numbers, Ed. Isn't this crazy?
What receivers are getting paid right now, man? It's insane.
Buddy, I can't hardly read. Maybe okay. I actually was able to zoom that in.
4 years, 120 for IU, CD Lamb, 136, Justin Jefferson, 140. I mean, it's crazy, bro.
It is. It's out of line, really. The whole damn league is out of line. I have a problem with what we're paying these guys, to be honest with you. It's got out of hand. Quarterbacks, I mean, come on, man.
Do you guys think it's
50 plus a year? It's out of hand. And it's going to get to the point where, I mean, they're going to have to double the salary cap, or nobody's going to be able to field a decent team.
Yeah. We get excited when we see the uptick, like, oh, we got more. Everybody's getting more this year. That's just to keep up with the freaking inflation and the price of playing in the freaking NFL, and all these TV contracts and everything are freaking outrageous, man. Like, oh, no. You got to have this app over here on this day to watch over there. And then this day it's different than that day. And, oh, well, we got 2 games on Thursday night, whatever, Monday, 2 games. And you got to go to this app on the first one, and the second one, you got to go over. Come on, when is it going to stop?
Do you guys feel, is there another position? I was thinking about this because you got the quarterbacks, you got the edge rusher, you pay them a lot of money. Is there another group that you think is coming on next? Because I think the shutdown corner, I kind of see the trend now of the shutdown corners making that money. Like Snead, for example, getting traded to the Titans, who we're going to see the first game of the year. He's on the Titans, got traded from the Chiefs. Great player, shutdown corner, but he's making a ridiculous amount of money. So I kind of feel like you got the receivers now that's there where they're going to get paid, but that shutdown corner to me is going to be the next tier of the group of position players that are going to make that ridiculous amount of money.
Well, I think they did that with the edge. I mean, Ed, you remember when they went and got Peyton Manning, the first thing that the freaking Texans went out and did was go get a defensive pass rusher. And once they got him, Mario Williams, as soon as Peyton Manning put his papers in for Denver, freaking Mario gets shipped out, and that money for Edge, I think we had a center too that was like that, so he would cover it for the Bulls. We kept a center along for a while because he had that what was that center in New York, the Patrick Ewing. He played average, he played mid, but as soon as freaking Patrick Ewing stepped on our court, he was the best, at covering him or something. And I just want to say that I believe what you're saying is true, Coop, because you got the yin and the yang. As soon as the receivers get some money, well, what do? You got to get a DB to combat that and knock that down. So them boys are going to get paid now too. It's getting crazy, bro. It's getting crazy.
Heck, I forgot to mention Jalen Johnson.
Yeah.
That. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
I was just going to say, but you know who ain't getting the money?
Who's that, buddy?
Running backs.
Oh, yeah.
Running backs, man. They say, hey, I want a new contract. Go, I tell you what, man, I'll give you a $20 raise. Is that going to be all right for you? Yeah, coach.
Hey, maybe it all circles back and somebody's smart about it and they bring the running game back and flip the whole league upside down. And now the running backs get paid and the receivers drop some. And I don't know, man. It's crazy.
Ain't happening.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Although there's a couple of though that are like when you look at the Falcons, Bijan Robinson, there's a couple of guys that I think you would pay the money for, or I would take high in the draft, and then you see them play. Gibbs on the Lions, like there's a few of them that you can like make them your running back and receiver and do a lot.
Receiver, a freaking Swiss Army knife. McCaffrey, he's tough, dude. He does it all. You know what I mean?
To me, the 49ers wouldn't be in the Super Bowl last year if it wasn't for McCaffrey.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, so he's ridiculous player too, and they gave up a lot to get him.
But I will say this though, Coop, they did their due diligence because they put any running back in there and they got some yards, dude. I mean, one through four. They had 4 running backs. Each one of them had a chance with a rock, and they all did well. Not to the same level as CMC, man, but they had some studs. And then remember the Ravens. The Ravens had like 4 or 5. And each one of them got beat up, and the guy behind him still freaking handled the rock, man. It was crazy.
That's good organization. That's good organizations, man. That's why the Ravens win every year. That's why the 49ers win every year. That's why those type of teams can do that. They can build like that because they can draft well and bring those type of. The Rams are another example.
Well, and because they both got awesome offensive lines.
True that.
We still need.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because we've got 2 guys in Ian Cunningham and Poles, and they both played offensive line.
Right.
They played at a high level. And now they're saying.
And come in and said, we're going to start in the front with the line, which is the correct way to go about it. And he's went everywhere else, and he's finishing with the offensive line, which makes no sense to me, but so far, it looks this season, it looks like the guys that we have are doing a pretty damn decent job. I will say that. Yeah. But I was wanting more attention paid. I'm always wanting. Seems like forever I've been wanting more attention paid to the offensive line.
And I'm with you too, but I kind of cheated on my own thoughts in the sense that as soon as 9 and we got Odunze, I quickly flipped the script because they started showing highlights, and I'm like, let's go. And now here we are talking about, we've wrapped a whole show around Odunze, right? And
that was an awesome pick. I'm not the least bit mad about it.
No.
I was excited to steal him. And we did steal him. I can't believe it, Atlanta. Right. Thanks, Atlanta.
You know what's crazy during that whole thing is like we always give Poles the credit, but if you really see what was happening, he wanted to hurry up and prematurely go after him, and maybe gave extra in order to get there, to jump up. You know what I mean? And Ian was like, just chill. Be cool, bro. Be cool. It's going to happen. and it's cool that they balance each other out that way because Ian kept his composure, and I can't say this enough.
Well, I think something went wrong with the trade. They were trying to trade, and so, so there was a hitch with it or something. Also,
I watched the video. Unless they sweetened it up and made it look like something it was not. I watched the video where Ian was making him not try to do any of that, just chill and wait to see what happens. And they really felt like the Bears had the best opportunity of getting Odunze the way the progression was going. And they were rattling off numbers like 199, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh my God, these guys really like, like, it's crazy how much they know, man. It's
it's going to be interesting too when you look at that and look at that draft coming up, because I think the Falcons could possibly have a pretty good team this year. They also went out and had you don't win in free agency, but they signed some pretty good free agents and they traded for Judon. Like they could be pretty legit with Kirk Cousins as their quarterback. And it just boggles me sometimes. Like, why don't you go get something else that's a bigger need? Like you can have somebody else with Kirk Cousins and you get a quarterback. But then I say that, and then the Packers years ago get Jordan Love in the first round, and that seemed to work out pretty well. So I don't know the answer to that, but at the same time, I'm like, if you have the number 8th pick, why wouldn't you go get a wide receiver to be on the other side to have with Robinson in the background? And it sometimes I just think about that. I'm like, I look at that draft pick and I'm like, that makes not a lot of sense to me. I'm like, I'm so happy that fell to us. Like, I still can't believe that fell to us.
Yeah, it's good, man. And, you have a lot of bad luck at some point. We're going to have our day and going to have some good, and that is part of it too. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And people are probably still be like, dude, it's the Bears. It's cool. They're not going to pick anybody good at all.
You could bet on it.
With our history.
I don't bet on the Bears, but you could bet on that one.
Yeah.
There are thousands, if not millions, of people saying that.
Yeah, it was like 100 quarterbacks before we got to
even
Caleb.
some of them are Bears fans.
Yeah.
Hell, they are, yeah.
Right.
He's had 18 line moves, 18 changes for the offensive line. So I have seen him do his due diligence in over 3 years, and some of them have not always been the best. I do like the Jenkins so far. It's his contract year. If he stays healthy, he's going to make the center and Shelton better. He's going to make our left tackle, better. And then over on as far as the right tackle goes, as long as Wright gets it right, he can make that right guard better. And I really feel like you don't need it legit. Like you look at the whole NFL, even defensive line, they don't have all 5 guys spot on, right? I'm happy just right now that Shelton is snapping the ball and not some worm burners where he's got to go down and dive on top of it, or it go over his dang head where he's got to get a freaking jetpack to go up and get the damn ball. Like the ball is getting in Caleb's hand, and that's important for a rookie to be like, oh, here's the ball. Now I can do things. You know what I mean?
That's
important.
Important to have a veteran like Jenkins on that line too. And I think if Jenkins goes out there and stays healthy, he's going to be one of the highest paid offensive linemen in free agency next year. And
I agree.
think he's going to have that I really do. I think he's going to have that motivation. He always has a motivation. I always like the way he plays. He's so aggressive. And if he could stay healthy and play that guard position, I think we're going to be so good there, and he's going to make himself a lot of money.
Yeah. He's so good. And like Ed was saying a little bit ago, he's our Kyle Long, or I would say he's our Olin. You got to have that one guy. And, then you get a Roberto Garza later on to fill in and go behind you. But Roberto might not have even unlocked. He might have. I don't know. I'm not speaking for him. I'm just potentially he might have not unlocked his full potential had Olin not been there right in the ship and kind of helping him along. You know what I'm trying to say to you? And he was there. He was a good, viable position player, guard, center, really good, man. I think that's part of it. Long, that offensive line that Long had was not pretty, bro. Oh man. It's been a while since we had a good one.
And there was a bunch of injuries back then too, and injuries led us to move him to tackle, and that's what killed him.
Yeah.
He was never the same guard once moved back to guard. When he started getting hurt from moving him to tackle, we should have never done that.
Right. Guys, everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that like button, smash the notification bell, leave a great review for us. We really appreciate you guys. We couldn't do it without you. It's been a pleasure. You guys have any parting? Want to keep it a little short, man. We've been getting long-winded lately. There's so much good stuff, but you guys got any parting words or anything you guys want to speak on before we get on out of here?
I'm ready for opening week, man. I'm ready for week one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch a lot of good college tomorrow. I'll be watching college game all day tomorrow, but at the same time, man, once Sunday hits, I'm gonna be looking a week from that damn, and I'm like, okay.
Ooh, you're our insider. We need to pick your brain. Let's go. You're in Tennessee town. What are they saying about Tennessee? Do we have a chance?
Yeah, I'm going to the game tomorrow, man. I'm going about the Volunteers or the Titans.
No, the Titans, bro. The Titans.
Okay, the Titans. So here's the down here in Tennessee for the Titans this year. It's kind of
fired up.
What I thought. Yeah, they are, because they really thought it was going to be a rebuild with the brand new head coach, Levis coming back, and they were just kind of like what we did, build from scratch. But then they went out and signed all these free agents. They make that trade for Snead as a cornerback, and they bring in Jamal Adams. And they got a really legit team. They got DeAndre Hopkins, who I think might be hurt for the first game. I don't think he's playing for the first game. But everybody's excited about Levis, man. People down here think Levis could be a very good quarterback, and I think it's going to be I will talk more about this next week, Brandon and Ed, but I think this could be a very interesting first game of the year. I don't think this is going to be a pushover game. I think this is going to be a pretty close game.
I don't think it's a pushover either, but I think we got it. I think we get it.
Yeah, and you know what, Ed? Cliff just put up here, Bears are 4.5, so nice to be favorite. So that's really cool. Boys, I want to show something really quick. I did have a little shameless plug about what happened last night.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Really cool to be able to be there and be.
Oh yeah.
There's my son and me and Dan Hampton, and he asked Dan if he was going to play next Sunday, and Dan just smiled. He also asked Otis. He had to ask Otis if he was going to play, and Otis just shook his head. He didn't ask these two boys. I don't know what's going on, why he didn't ask if they were going to take them out for the Cubbies. They're Bobby Denier and Tim Stoddard. So, yeah, it was and Stoddard is actually Bobby's lifetime bodyguard. So, and he makes a police guy in the back look pretty small, and he was actually a big boy. So, yeah, it was pretty cool to be around these greats, be a moderator, and be able to introduce them on stage. There was a pretty good stage going, lots of people, really good time. I got some other pictures too I didn't upload, but man, it was good to be in front of my town, my hometown, and my family, friends, and then Danny Mack, he didn't make it easy on me, dude. He was just pounding it, dude. He was just like, he was so good, man. He was dropping bars and he was doing it all like some musicians, they got to have the music sheets in front of them to play the music. Other guys, same thing with a quarterback. Some of them have got all the plays and they don't need the wrist. The wrist thing. I'm the guy. I had to have the what do you call it? The teleprompt in front of me. But it was cool. I got the crowd up on the feet, thunderous ovation. It was spectacular, special. Hey, but you know what though? I did have on my side. I had them boys on my side because everybody is excited to see them. And my buddy, he did a little joke on on Facebook. He goes, "Who are those other cats with Brandon?" Instead of who's that guy with them guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a good time. It was a good time, man. It was fun, man.
I loved all the photos and the video I watched too, man. So nice job, man. That was cool.
Yeah, that had to have been awesome.
I finally got to see what it was like to be you for a day, because you're always around guys like stars and stuff. Like this guy Ed, he's with all the rock stars of country and stuff, and like at all the places. Like that's why he's been MIA for a while. He's just been like, he calls it work, but I call it partying. So
I don't know about partying, man, but no, yeah, that you add them all together. It was it's been a fun summer, man. But I'm happy to be back on here, man. I love the passion, man. The passion and the sports, dude. It felt so good to be back on tonight.
We're happy you're back on. It's like you never even missed a beat. And Ed, he's been killing it, man. I had a feeling once he got his feet wet, because this is the guy, except for Swede Carlson, this is the guy that would stop everybody. And once he starts talking, man, it's like the Messiah, like the big draws a crowd. Everybody around is like, listen, get your popcorn. Buck's got a tail, you know. So
that's how I feel. I just listen, man. You take it all
That's not true. Brandon lies. Hey, parting words. I'll go with what Booker had for parting words about Green Bay.
Oh yeah, Green Bay sucks. We need that
That's
video.
not what he said, and that's why I just said with what he said. You know what I'm talking about, don't you, Matt?
I know what you're talking about. I was trying to keep it Disney still, man.
Don't keep it clean on the Chicago Sports Podcast.
Right on.
Right, Brandon?
Yeah, bro. Yep. Oh, these guys are letting it fly. They gave us what? Yeah, there you go. So there it is.
Yeah, I see it.
So, all right, guys. Yeah, you guys have a good night. Thanks for helping out and chiming in, and look forward to seeing you next week. Coop, Buck, you guys have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too. Good to be on, guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right. See you guys.